President Nixon's public comments about his meetings with Chinese leaders seem to imply that the Chinese believe that now it's time for the U.S. to act if we want better relations with the Chinese. Was there anything that the former president told you in private that encourages you, thinking that relations with the Chinese will improve and anything we can do?
The Chinese have a slogan: "He who ties the knot should untie it." The Chinese still feel that we tied the knot and thus should untie it. I don't feel that way. President Nixon's visit to China was very helpful because he was an unofficial visitor. He is respected in China as a Lao Pengyo, old friend. He is a man who opened a relationship with China when things were extraordinarily difficult. Not just a lack of communication, but go back to history and take a look at you were in the last vestiges of the Cultural Revolution, where many people, hundreds of thousands, are reportedly lost their lives. And so he went there at a difficult time. He saw the fundamental importance of this relationship, as I do. He could speak quite frankly to the Chinese leaders, and they in turn spoke very frankly to him. And I think he made the point that we didn't tie the knot. Now, I think that helps. Because of the respect that the leaders in China have for President Nixon, I think that visit was very constructive. He carried no messages from me. He was not on a semi-official mode or anything, a mission or anything of that nature. But I think I have a better feeling of where Chinese leaders stand at this point because of having been debriefed by President Nixon. I wish there were some positive steps that I could suggest to them that they take. There are some things that I will keep private that I have quietly recommended, and we'll see where it goes. But this relationship is important to us. As those of you who know my views on this question, I have never favored the concept of a card, playing a Soviet card, playing a Chinese card. The relationship has to stand on its merits. Having said that, there is enormous geopolitical reasons for us to have relations with the People's Republic of China. And yet there is this affront, the Tiananmen Square situation. And so we've got to try now, and I would say, I hope with understanding from this group, who has your job to do, but I got mine, in a quiet way, to find steps that can be taken, perhaps on both sides, to see this relation move back towards more normalization. And the Nixon visit contributed to that very, very much, in my view. At least it helped me in my thinking. I know those of us who visited with him found it extraordinarily helpful.
Is his rehabilitation now complete, do you think? Is rehabilitation now complete? Is Nixon's rehabilitation now complete?
Thank you for your understanding and support on this election day.
You want to talk about Lebanon?
I want to take one question on Lebanon. I am deeply offended. I am deeply offended by the Aoun supporters who tried to humiliate the patriarch yesterday. This does not contribute to peace in any way. I have expressed my support, obviously, for the tripartite process. We have been on the phone in the past to the Pope, to Francois Mitterrand, to the Secretary General, to President Mubarak, to King Fahd, to others, to encourage not just the tripartite approach, but others, particularly thinking of the Secretary General. We have set out a statement of support to the newly elected President Moad, and the steps that Aoun's people took yesterday should be condemned. and it is wrong. And this idea of some discussion of a further grief on that marvelous country by partition is totally unacceptable to countries around the world. And so I'm glad this subject came up, and I will continue to try to find ways to show U.S. support for peace initiatives. And we were discussing that this morning. I really think that special credit ought to go to the King of Saudi Arabia for convening those TAIF meetings, and for the legislators that attended, the courage that they showed in going there, and the quest for freedom, and I mean the quest for peace in that country was so you could just feel it in what those legislators are hoping to accomplish. And then along comes these followers that I would term totally out of order and going in there and trying to humiliate the Maronite patriarch, and it is just totally counterproductive. And I hope that we can find a way to build on the new election, build on and Syrian willingness to get out, move those troops out, withdraw all foreign forces from Lebanon, and I'm talking about all foreign forces, reconciliation under President Moad, and the reform, implement the reforms that have been spoken to, addressed in TAIF, and therein lies a formulation for peace. But you're talking to one who feels the question of Lebanon all the time. I've been there. I've seen it as a peaceful crossroads in an always troubled corner of the world. And I just hope that before I leave this job that I can in some way contribute to the restoration of peace in the Lebanon. Thank you all very much.